Hi guys, it's me, ChazzaHD, and welcome to a full review of Day 3 of pre-season testing in 2019, where we're going to look at the teams and how they got on during Day 3, and also a very important update on the Williams situation in a positive way, but there is still plenty to talk about when it comes to that. But what we're going to be doing mostly is looking at the teams and how they got on in Day 3, and there is a couple of interesting things to talk about when it comes to some of the teams on the grid at the moment. Hopefully you guys are doing well in the chat right now and in the comments section. And yeah, let's now get into this review of Day 3. Now, before I get into the review of the teams, let me first show the results of Day 3. And they are actually quite surprising, but as I'll get onto later on, there are mitigating factors when it comes to these results. So here they are. Danny Kvyat ends Day 3 top of the timesheets. He torpedoed into first place. Kimi Raikkonen ended up in second. Daniel Ricciardo is third. Sebastian Vettel is fourth. Verstappen is fifth in the Red Bull. And then Hülkenberg is sixth. Grosjean seventh. Fittipaldi is eighth. That's Haas's test driver. And then 9th is Carlos Sainz, 10th is Sergio Perez, and then outside the top 10, there were 3 other drivers. That is the 2 Mercedes drivers of Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, and also George Russell in the Williams. So those are your results. I will get onto later the tyres they were using, and also I will show the amount of laps they did on Day 3, because of course in the first test, that is very, very important. But now let's get into the team, starting off with Mercedes, who, to me on track, they looked a bit better today, but they still don't with their car compared to, say, Ferrari and even Red Bull in terms of the handling of their car. It still doesn't look that good. It still doesn't look that good. They're still going to be very quick in 2019, no doubt about it, but their car just doesn't look as good as maybe I was expecting, or maybe as it should be at this stage. And also, some teams with their GPS data that they use to monitor other teams and how quick they actually are when they load the car up with a lot of fuel, according to some GPS data, Ferrari are clearly ahead of Mercedes by quite a lot right now. And I think, I don't know if this was Toto Wolff, who said this, but apparently Ferrari, when everything is equal right now, Ferrari are half a second faster than Mercedes. If that is true, which I don't think it is, I think Mercedes are a lot closer than that. But if that is true, they have a lot of work to do. And even though the car looked more balanced today than it did on Day 2, it still doesn't look as balanced as the Ferrari or the Red Bull. For example, Lewis Hamilton in the afternoon was going into turn 10. Now, turn 10 is a great indicator as to the handling of your car. And with the Mercedes, Hamilton was going in pretty quick and had to correct the car in the middle of the corner. That is something you do not want to be doing. So they definitely have a lot of work to do if they are going to be right now as good with the handling of their car as Ferrari. They do have a lot of work to do, and hopefully for them, they do improve. Next up is Ferrari, who, yes, they didn't end today fastest like they did in Day 1 and Day 2, but their car still looks the best on the grid, and also they were using quite a lot harder tyres compared to Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault, Kimi Raikkonen in the Alfa Romeo, and Danny Kvyat in the Toro Rosso. So the Ferrari is still looking very good. From what I've seen so far, the Ferrari does look the best car on the grid right now, and I don't really have a doubt about that at the moment. Now, that could easily change once we get to the second test or the first Grand Prix, but right now, Ferrari have the best car in terms of handling. And also, if you listen to certain people in the pit lane or in the paddock, they will say Ferrari right now have the best car. So right now, you're looking at the best car in Formula One. But don't expect that to last very long, because, you know, Mercedes could turn up next week for the second test and be amazingly fast. So we'll see. But right now, this is the car to beat in terms of raw pace. But let's move on from Ferrari and go on to Red Bull, who had a good day with Max Verstappen. They showed a bit more pace and didn't have an accident like Pierre Gasly did in the Red Bull yesterday. So that is a positive. But yeah, another good day for Red Bull. Nothing great. They weren't, you know, amazing or eye-catching. But the one thing that is very good for them, and it was always going to be about this when it comes to the first pre-season test, the Red Bull Honda is reliable. It is very reliable. It hasn't had a notable breakdown as of yet. Now, there are rumours, by the way, that that Red Bull are turning down the power unit, the Honda power unit, because there are vibration issues still. Now, I don't know if that rumour is true, and quite frankly, I don't believe that, because with their lap times and the way the car looks on track, that doesn't suggest that. So I don't think that is true, but definitely they are not running that engine at absolute full power. Neither are Ferrari, Mercedes, or Renault. There's absolutely no way they're running their power units at full power. So they're definitely not running it at full power, but I don't think they are running it in a low power setting like some people I have seen have been saying on Twitter today. I don't think that is the case, but so far, so good for Red Bull and Honda. But now let's go on to the midfield. And good news, if you are a Renault fan or a Daniel Ricciardo or Nico Hülkenberg fan, Renault today showed a lot more of what they do have for 2019. They pushed a lot harder. Daniel Ricciardo ending up in third. And when they were finally, after 2 days of basically race simulations for Renault and testing out the reliability, which is very important for them, they finally pushed this car and tried to really test out how quick it was. And it did look good. Now, is it good enough? Right now, maybe the Renault car is not as good as it maybe should be. I'm not as impressed with the Renault as I am by the Alfa Romeo, for example. But it is nice to see that they pushed the car harder today and showed us a bit more of what Renault have for 2019. And what they have is a better looking car in terms of handling compared to 2018, and all around a nicely balanced car. Not as good as the Ferrari, absolutely no way, but this Renault does look, I'd say, good. I wouldn't say very good, but good. And that's all they need right now so far after 3 days of testing. Now, let's move on to McLaren, who had their worst day of testing so far, not only because they weren't that high up in the timesheets, but also they had, I guess, a bit of reliability issues today, but maybe you could not count it as a reliability issue. Basically, they missed the first, I think it was 2 hours, because overnight, McLaren were fitting a new gearbox and a new front wing, I believe, and something else. I can't remember what that something else is, but I know it was a new gearbox and a new front wing. So they didn't get out in the morning as early as they would have wanted to, and they didn't do as many laps as they wanted to, but they still had, in terms of reliability, a consistent enough day. Didn't really go for lap times, and I think they do now need to concentrate on race simulations a bit more, because it seems as though in the first couple of days they were concentrating more on seeing how quick the car is, rather than doing any race simulation work. So it was nice to see that they did that. But in terms of the previous couple of days of testing, this was their worst day, but it was still a good day. And that shows that so far, compared to last year's first preseason test, McLaren are looking better. Maybe not looking good. We need to see in the second test how they look, and then the first race, of course. But so far, so good for McLaren. But now let's go on to Alfa Romeo, who in my opinion have a very good car for 2019, and I was most impressed by Alfa Romeo today out of all of the teams on day 3. Kimi Räikkönen was fastest from about, when was it? About 11 AM in the morning until about half an hour before testing finished. He was top for quite a long time, and the Alfa Romeo on track does look very nicely balanced, and when they push the car it does look good. And I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if this car is right, not there with Red Bull or anything, but is say 4th or 5th fastest. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. And I would even bet that this car is right now probably out of, say, last year's midfield teams, that's everyone excluding Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, I would say right now Alfa Romeo out of the midfield have so far the best car. Their car just looks very quick, it's running like a dream, and when they push the car it really does look impressive. And out of the midfield teams, I have been the most impressed by Alfa Romeo. I've also been impressed by Haas, who we'll get onto in a moment. But Alfa Romeo, to me, do look very impressive, and I cannot wait to see what they do with Antonio Giovinazzi tomorrow in the final day of the first test. But yeah, for Alfa Romeo, looking good, looking very good. Hopefully they can keep this up, because I think they have quite a good car on their hands for 2019. And hopefully Kimi Räikkönen, once we get to the proper 2019 season, if the car is as good as it looks, hopefully he can have some fun in 2019 also. But yeah, let's go on to Haas, who had a bit of a weird day. So Pietro Fittipaldi did the morning, and then Romain Grosjean did the afternoon. Romain Grosjean did break down at turn 10. Which was a shame, and that's the second breakdown they've had in the 3 days of testing, so they do need to sort out their reliability. Maybe things with the new Ferrari power unit are a bit too tightly packaged, I don't know, but they are, reliability wise, suffering the most out of any team so far. But I will say again, when I look at it on track, it does look like a good car. So once it's running and they are pushing that car as hard as they want to, which is probably not as hard as they could go, the car does look good. It does look good. So if you are a Haas fan, be very, very happy, because I think you have a real good car for 2019. Maybe not as competitive as it was in 2018, but it seems as though to me they've kind of maintained the speed they've had from last year, but maybe haven't done as well as, say, Alfa Romeo. But the car does still look very good. So if you are a Haas fan, then yeah, be very happy, because you do have a good car on your hands. Now let's go on to Racing Point, who have to be, excluding Williams, kind of the most irrelevant team so far in testing. They're not really doing anything that special. The car doesn't look that great on track, neither does it look that bad. It's kind of just meh. They're doing a lot of race simulations, which I can understand, but also because I was going to say Force India, Racing Point, because they've come out and said that they're going to bring a massive new upgrade to the first Grand Prix, it kind of feels like testing is not that important for Racing Point, because this car could handle completely differently once we get to Melbourne compared to testing. So I think they're kind of just waiting for those upgrades once they come to the first race. But yeah, there's nothing that interesting with Racing Point right now. But I will say, I don't think the car is as good as it probably should be at the moment. I think that car could be a bit quicker, and grip-wise, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. It could be better in that area. Now let's go on to the team and the driver also that ended the day fastest, Toro Rosso and Danny Kvyat. Now, I do need to stress, Danny Kvyat did his fastest time on the C5, which is the softest tyre possible. So please don't jump the gun and think Toro Rosso are going to be amazingly quick, but this is an indicator as to possibly how good the Honda power unit is for 2019, and maybe how much more of an improvement it is for 2019. So I think from a Honda point of view, this is good, but for Toro Rosso, again, because they ran right at the end of the day to get this fast time, and they put on the fastest possible tyre, I can't really say that this is as quick as they really are, because I don't think they are right there with Alfa Romeo. I don't think they are. I think Alfa Romeo are definitely ahead of Toro Rosso. But for Honda, it is a good sign that if they want to go for a proper quick lap, that the new engine looks pretty good. So that is good for them. But we now are going to go on to a team that missed day 1 and day 2, but did turn up for day 3 of 2019 preseason testing, and they are Williams Racing. Yes, the toothpaste team turned up, and well, even though yes, it's a good thing they turned up and put some laps on the board, it wasn't many. It was only, I think, 15 to 20 laps. The feeling around the team is just so bad. Even Claire Williams came out and said today that it was, or the reasoning for them not being at the first 2 days of testing was embarrassing. If it is what I think it is, and we read it out on yesterday's stream, then yes, it is very embarrassing, and also puts Paddy Lowe's position in a bit of jeopardy. But yeah, even though they came onto the track finally in pre-season testing, and this was actually the first running of the car today. They haven't done a filming day. They, didn't do any promotional stuff. This was the first proper running of the car, the full car, with all the chassis, aero bits, power unit, gearbox, everything. This was the first proper running of the car. And that is embarrassing, because now, because they've only done 15 to 20 laps, and they only are going to be testing out really reliability and seeing how the car initially is, they are so far behind even the midfield when it comes to running, understanding of their new cars, and really seeing how quick their cars are. Also, George Russell had I think a half spin during the afternoon whilst he was out, so the Williams car ain't looking that good. And when I looked at it on track, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like a good car. Of course, we'll see once they start to push it. But to me, initially, it doesn't look like that good of a car. And I am very worried for them. And again, hashtag Claire out. She is the reason that this team have gone so downhill. And also, mainly the reason they didn't turn up to the first 2 days of testing. Paddy Lowe also has to take some responsibility, but mainly it has to be Claire Williams. So again, hashtag Claire out. But I guess the only positive is that Williams actually turned up to day 3, but that's not a positive, I'm afraid. That is not a positive, because they should have been at the first day of testing. They had plenty of time to work on the 2019 car during 2018, a year where they were so far behind everyone else and they knew they were going to finish last in the constructors. They had plenty of time to work on this year's car and they turned up late. That is unacceptable. Someone has to go, and I fear it's going to be Paddy Lowe when it really should be Claire Williams. But if this car is as bad as we think, then it should be both Claire Williams and Paddy Lowe. But there you go. Williams turned up to testing, which I guess is a good thing. But guys, let me know in the chat and the comment section right now, what do you think about the teams on day 3 and who were you impressed by? And also, when it comes to Williams, do you have any further thoughts? And also, do you believe that Ferrari have the best car right now? I think they do. I don't really see how anyone can doubt that right now. Not because they're doing a lot faster lap times, because it's very clear Mercedes are running more fuel. But Ferrari, with their car, the handling of their car looks a lot better than the Mercedes. So for me, Ferrari do have the best car right now. Do you also think that? Put it in the chat right now or in the comment section, and I'll try to read through it as I try to read it in just a moment. But before I do, just to let you guys know, I will be doing the same review for preseason testing tomorrow for day 4, the final day of the first test, where also you will be able to vote on who is, or who has, sorry, the best livery on the grid for 2019. So you can vote on that tomorrow in tomorrow's live stream. So don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there, or click my channel name, go to my channel page and subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notifications bell for more content like this. But now let's read through the chat and see what you guys have to say. Merca sandbagging, according to Mr. Galactic Skull. Yeah, they're definitely sandbagging. There's no doubt about that. But I still don't think they have as fast a car as Ferrari do. You can see it with the handling of the car. The Ferrari hasn't really had any, except for Vettel spinning on day 1. It doesn't really look that hard to drive. It looks very comfortable front to rear. The Mercedes looks a bit snappy at the rear of the car to me. And also looks like it's struggling when it comes to front end turning into some of the slower corners. So yeah, the Ferrari car to me right now looks better, but that could easily change after the second test or even the first Grand Prix. Let me look at some more comments. Tax-free Eve, Williams will be 7/10 slower than the midfield. Ferrari have a decent car. I hope Williams are not cut adrift from the midfield. I really hope they're not. But I think they will, to be honest. Count B Blast says, I'm personally not sweating the Ferrari outfit one bit at the moment. They always come out showing off. I'm waiting to see when Mercedes stops cocking around. You say that, but last year in the first test, Ferrari was slower than Mercedes on day 1 last year. Then Ferrari went 0.3 of a second faster on day 2. Of course, day 3 last year, it was snowing, so there was no running. But then on day 4, Mercedes were 1 second faster. So I'm not sure you can quite say that this is what Ferrari usually do, because last year in the first test, Mercedes had the better car. And in testing and the first race had the better car. So I don't think you can really say that this is just typical Ferrari. Right, I'll change the photo, guys, don't worry. I know you guys don't want to look at that toothpaste Williams. Let me just... There you go. A lot better of a car to look at than that Williams. Homer Jones, does Kubica even have a chance in the Williams? No, not really. Even if he is better than we expect him to be, if the car's terrible, then what can he be expected to do? What can he be expected to do? For example, look at Fernando Alonso at McLaren. Couldn't get a podium in that car that was so bad. Robert Kubica, of course, isn't as good as Fernando Alonso, but if he does somehow get to a similar level of where he was at in, say, 2008, 2009 before his crash, that rally crash, he's still not going to be able to really do anything with that car if it is as bad as we think it is going to be. So we'll see, but I'm not looking forward to the season from a Williams point of view, to be honest. Goran says, I know you'll kill me for this, but best livery Williams. Please explain why. I don't know how you can possibly say that. Of course, it's your opinion, but please tell me why you think it is the best livery. Wakanda Forever says, and this is a very good point, and I should have made this point earlier, says, Chazza, I saw Leclerc's day 2 fastest lap. By the way, Formula 1 released a onboard lap of Charles Leclerc's fastest lap from yesterday. And as Wakanda Forever says in the chat, and he didn't even make any corrections on the corners. He was really smooth and fast, as Vettel was. That's why I say the Ferrari car right now is the best, because if you go back and look at that lap, Charles Leclerc did not have to correct the car once. It was almost perfect. Didn't have to correct it once. Also, if you listen to the onboard sound, you can tell Ferrari are holding a lot back, because the gear shifts from, say, second to third to fourth to fifth are a lot more delayed than it would be, say, on a qualifying lap. So you can tell Ferrari are sandbagging when it comes to fuel mix, engine modes, stuff like that. Ferrari also are holding a lot back. So don't think Ferrari are pushing as fast as pushing as fast as they can. They are also sandbagging compared to what they could do if they took almost all of the fuel out of the car. Simon Cragland says, Red Bull think they are in between Ferrari and Mercedes. Interesting. Yep, I did see that. Christian Horner said that he thinks Red Bull are faster than Mercedes, but definitely slower than Ferrari. So, yeah. That is very interesting. Batboot says, or it actually is responding to someone else. Wakanda Forever. Ferrari are sandbagging on engine power. Ferrari's fastest top speed was 298. Red Bull's was 320. Exactly. And again, if you listen to that Leclerc on board, they are definitely, when it comes to engine power, they are holding a lot back. Because on a qualifying lap, you'll notice the sound of the power unit is a lot higher, and the shifts between gears is a lot quicker on a qualifying lap compared to that lap that Leclerc did. So they are holding a lot back. I think Mercedes are holding even more back, but I think Ferrari do have the best car. Right, let me go through some more comments. Let me find some more. Nutnat says, this car has problems. Oh my. Let me find some more comments if I can. Jay Crail says, the tyres alone proves that some of them are gimping on purpose. Yeah, and also, as I'll get onto in a moment, Ferrari didn't use as softer tyres as Ricciardo, Raikkonen or Kvyat did. So, yeah, Ferrari, not only with engine power were they holding back, but also tyres they were holding back. Ultraman Nexus, Chaz, who do you think will win the 2019 championship? I will do my prediction for that on the 9th of March, which will be our season preview podcast. So I'll wait till then. Sebastian, Ferrari looks very strong, and if they keep the same performance for next week, they will be good at Australia, but you know how good Lewis is at Australia qualifying. I wouldn't be surprised if Hamilton still got pole in Melbourne, even if Ferrari have the better car, because Lewis Hamilton is so good at that track, and the Mercedes car loves Melbourne because it suits their car. It's fast corners followed by even faster corners. The Mercedes car historically hates slower corners. So yeah. And, you know, Australia is a very, very fast track. So I wouldn't be surprised, even if Ferrari do have the better car, that if Hamilton gets pole, but I'd expect Ferrari to win that Grand Prix. But let's wait, because Mercedes are not, you know, 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds behind Ferrari. There's no way they're that slow. If they are, then what a story for 2019. But there is no way they are that slow. Absolutely no chance. That Ferrari looks very fast, says Candice Diaz. It does. It does. For me, so far, it is the best car on the grid. But that could easily change during the second test. It really could. Tac 3 Eve, I'm really worried about McLaren. They seem to have slow pace. Don't worry about the pace right now. Wait till the second test. But I will say, I think the car is better looking grip-wise compared to 2018, but it isn't a massive improvement. So if they are better than 2018, it will be, you know, maybe quarter of a second. Something like that. Goran says, when it comes to the Williams livery, I like the white-blue combo of the Williams. And then says, sorry. No, you don't have to say sorry. Of course, it's your opinion, but I don't agree at all. I don't like the Williams. It's terrible in my opinion. It's the worst livery they've ever had, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion. Batboot says, I bet you that Mercedes will sort everything out and all of a sudden become the team to beat by Australia. I just have a gut feeling. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, though, is last year, Mercedes came out of testing with the best car. And then at the first race, they had the best car. But then after that, Ferrari had the best car. So even if Ferrari have the best car in testing, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be on pole position or even win the Australian Grand Prix. And to be honest, when it comes to Ferrari, if their car is very, very quick, I don't expect them to win the first race, because historically, in the last, say, 5 or 6 years, it's not the best track for Ferrari, certainly compared to Bahrain and Shanghai. I'd expect them to do a lot better at Bahrain and Shanghai than I would Australia, because Australia, they can sometimes be a bit hit and miss. So, yeah. Jamie Hong, Williams livery. That's an interesting name. Williams livery looks like a white toothpaste on a blue car. Yeah, it does. Connor Chapman says, great to see the Honda power unit, or a Honda power unit, in the 117s at this point. Can't wait to see how much of an improvement it will be in the Red Bull car. I think definitely once we get to the last couple days of the second test, I think you'll start to see Red Bull pushing. But right now, Red Bull are kind of hovering in between qualifying simulations and race simulations. They're just trying to get as many laps on the board to see how the power unit performs inside the Red Bull chassis. And that's very important to find out both Red Bull and Honda. But guys, I am now going to pull up a graphic showing the tyres that the times were done on today, and also the amount of laps that people did. But again, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. I will be doing a day 4 review tomorrow live at the same time around 5 PM UK time, so don't forget to subscribe. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there, or click on my channel name, go to my channel page and subscribe for more content like this, and also hit the notifications bell so you can be notified as to when I upload or go live. But now, I will try to put this graphic on the screen as quickly as I can. Show you guys. There you go. Let me just make it bigger and then we'll look at it even more. Right, so as you can see there, Danny Kvyat on the softest compound, the C5. So don't think the Toro Rosso car is massively quick, because it isn't. And then Kimi Raikkonen, he was also on the C5, but I think his time was a lot more impressive than Kvyat's, because Raikkonen did his in the cold morning, and Kvyat did his when there was lots of rubber down at the end of the day. Then Ricciardo on the C4, Vettel on the C3, Verstappen C3, Hulkenberg C4, and then Grosjean C3, Fittipaldi C4, Sainz C3, Perez C3, Bottas C3. Hamilton was on the prototype tyre. That's basically just a development tyre. I think it's a development tyre for a possible alteration to one of these C1 to C5 tyres. So that's why he was slower than Bottas, because if he went on a C3, he probably would have been a bit faster. And then Russell C3, but look at that lap time. That is way off, but they were not trying to go for a lap time. There's no way they were trying to go for a lap time. They were only trying to run the car and see if it would work. But also you can look at the laps there. So Kvyat, 137 laps, very good. Max Verstappen, 109 laps. So that's over 200 laps for Honda Power. Raikkonen, 138. That's very good. That's the most amount of... That's not the most amount of laps done by a single team. I think that goes to Mercedes, but they are second when it comes to a single team doing the most laps. Then Ricciardo, 80. And then when you add it with Hulkenberg, that's about 143, I think it is. So yeah, actually they are second when it comes to laps for the day. So Alfa Romeo are actually third. Then Vettel, 134. Haas have about, say, 110, around that area. And then McLaren, 90, which is still good, considering they missed, I think, the first 2 hours because they were still fitting a new front wing, a new gearbox. So still good. Perez, 67. When it comes to Racing Point, I think because they're bringing basically a new car to Melbourne in terms of aerodynamic upgrades, I think what they're doing is, with the parts they have so far, because maybe they don't have many replacements, they're not trying to do many laps so that they don't crash and then lose those parts, because then they'll have to put on 2018 parts. I think that is possibly what that is. And then, yeah, Mercedes have done about, say, 180, 190 laps between the two. And then Russell, 23. Yeah, not good. And again, I'll just show this to see, or to show you guys, if you're still confused about the tyres. So C1 is the hardest tyre, C5 the softest, and the rest I think you can make up for yourself. But I'll now leave this on screen. Now, looking at that, I would say that the most impressive teams for me are Alfa Romeo, Haas, definitely Ferrari, also McLaren, to be honest, because, I mean, at 1 minute 19.3, on 2-step harder tyres compared to, say, Kvyat and Raikkonen. That's not that bad. So McLaren not looking that bad so far. So yeah, looking pretty good, I'll say, so far for McLaren. But yeah, I'll say Alfa Romeo, Ferrari and Haas. Really, the Ferrari powered cars are the ones that are looking very good right now. And then after that, the other teams that are looking good or having good preseason tests are Red Bull, McLaren, kind of Toro Rosso, mainly because the Honda power unit is running reliable. And then Mercedes, and then Renault. This is not a pecking order, but this is just who's had the most impressive testing so far. Mercedes are definitely still up in the top 3 at least. But in terms of impressive first test, they are not in the top 3 at all. I'm much more impressed by Alfa Romeo, Ferrari and Haas, and even McLaren and Red Bull, to be honest. And Mercedes need to start pushing their car soon. They're going to do it most likely in the second test, but they've got to start doing it soon because they've got to compare against Ferrari. They've got to. And what a story it would be if they are that far off. I don't think they are, but what a story it would be. But there you go. Those are the times. Those are the tyres and the amount of laps that they have done. And in the chat right now, and also in the comments, let me know what your final thoughts of day 3 are. And also, so far, who are you most impressed by? For me, it is the Ferrari powered teams, say for the top 3. So let me know who you're most impressed by so far in pre-season testing in 2019 in the chat and the comments. And I'll try to go through as many comments as I can in the next 10 minutes. So make sure in the chat right now to put in who has been the most impressive so far. But again, for me, it is the Ferrari powered cars that are really looking good. Wakanda Forever says, I saw on a pic that Ferrari had those controversial rear wheel, they say things, but those rear wheel hubs, well, they're not really controversial anymore because they were approved by the FIA, but yeah, they did test out the Mercedes wheel hub innovation today. Only for a few laps, but they did test it out. Let me look at some more comments. Sebastian, Ferrari looks great, but also Haas, even though reliability is poor. Even though the reliability does need work, for Haas, their car does look good and it looks better than I thought it would. Prussia says, I'm most impressed by Alfa Romeo and McLaren. Okay. Formula 1 fan says, Albon has done well. Hamilton has done more running than he would most years. I think that might be because Mercedes are splitting their driver shifts during the day instead of just letting one driver do one day and then the other driver do the other, like Ferrari are doing. Homer Jones, you've got to give it to Alfa Romeo, absolutely. And I would say right now, I'm gonna throw it out there, but I think right now Alfa Romeo have the best car in the midfield. I think they do right now have the best car in the midfield. I think they've really done a great job on the aerodynamics of that car. I'm sure the Ferrari power unit is even more powerful for 2019, and that car does look good. But I will say, I think even if they are 4th fastest, I still think them and, say, Renault and even Haas maybe are pretty close in terms of lap time. Russia, maybe Williams picks up the pace later. I don't know. Let's hope that they can go faster than a 1:25.6. That'd be depressing if that was their fastest time from test 1. Let me look at some more comments. Red Sun Phoenix, Max has been super consistent, which is good, but in terms of teams, Alfa is doing best. In terms of impressing, yeah, Alfa Romeo, you could argue, have impressed the most, but in terms of who is doing the best, it has to be Ferrari. They are looking the best out of any of the teams. They really do have a strong car for 2019. KFR89, little off topic, but can you touch a little on the fantasy league you discussed yesterday? Sounds interesting. So basically, you guys may have heard of it, the Formula 1 Fantasy League thing. They have it on their website, I think. I had one last year, and I will be setting one up for this year, but I'm not going to set it up until the weekend before the first race. So that'll be the 9th and 10th of March when I'll set up the league, and then the first race is the weekend after. So the 16th and 17th is the first race. So yeah, I'll be setting up the Fantasy League in, how long's that? About 2 to 3 weeks time. I'll set up the league, and I'll make sure to post it everywhere I can so you guys can join and you know, create your team and compete during 2019. And I'll try my best, if I remember to give an update as to how people are doing in that league. Depeche says 495 laps for Merc. I guess that's a lot, even if the times aren't up with the others. Also, the tyre compounds have been harder than the others too. Yeah, you do also have to count that in, along with the amount of fuel that Mercedes are definitely running. I mean, Lewis Hamilton was on the prototype tyre for his fastest lap. So they're definitely sandbagging. I think Ferrari are too, but not as much as Mercedes. But we'll see. Hopefully in the second test, Mercedes will push a bit harder. Goran, let's be honest, if her last name wasn't Williams, hashtag Claire out would be long gone. Yep, she would. If she wasn't a part of that family, she wouldn't be in Formula 1. She doesn't have what it takes to be in that position that she is in. She doesn't have what it takes. And I don't think she really has what it takes to be in any type of meaningful position in Formula 1. I don't think she does. I really don't think she does. Connor Chapman says, Mercedes seem to like a tad of understeer. They do. Their car so far, to me, looks as though it does have a bit of understeer, but also some instability at the rear. Because at turn 10 today, Lewis Hamilton on one of his laps went into that corner and had to correct the car midway through the corner. And it wasn't understeer. It was more of a rear end thing. So the car front to rear is not as good as the Ferrari right now. It really isn't. Hello to Joseph Hernandez. Great to see you along. Red Sun Phoenix. Why are the top 3 teams scared to show their true potential? Because I think they want to kind of hide it a bit more compared to the other teams. I think the other teams, maybe for PR reasons, are going a bit faster deliberately than the bigger teams. But I think they're trying to hide to their main rivals. So, for example, Ferrari, or not Ferrari, but Mercedes are trying to hide how quick they really are to Red Bull and Ferrari, not to Red Bull, Ferrari, and Alfa Romeo, Renault, McLaren, Williams, and all them. They're all really looking at each other and just trying to not go super quick so they can trigger some kind of reaction from the other team that will mean that they will be maybe as quick as them or something like that. Right. Connor Chapman says, I was speaking more in general philosophy than this test specifically. Yeah, their car doesn't seem to be that good with the front end. It seems to be a bit more of a rear end car compared to, say, the Ferrari. But, you know, it's worked for them, so I don't think it's massively a bad thing. But we'll see how that fares for them once the season gets going. Right, let me find 2 or 3 more comments and then I'll come to the end of the stream. Also, I've seen a couple people doing this and I just want to say, please don't spam questions repeatedly or comments in the chat, because it makes my job and also the moderator's job a lot more difficult, because I'm trying to pick out the best questions I can, and also he's trying to, or they are trying to patrol the chat. So please try not to spam any questions. If you want to ask it for, say, a second time or even a third time, then that's fine, but don't do any more than that, because yeah, it does make it a bit difficult for me to try and find the best comments, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to include the best comments I possibly can. Explicit game. Sandbagging and testing has always been a waste, in my opinion. In either case, teams are going to be pushing for more speed and can only do much. I guess he's trying to say and can only do so much before Melbourne. No team is saying, quote, we're fast enough. All the teams, though, if you look at the real definition in this Formula One sense of sandbagging, they're all sandbagging, because I guarantee you, if Ferrari turned up their power unit as high as possible and put on the C5 tyre, I guarantee you they would dip into the low 17s at the very, very worst. Probably into the 116s. They're never going to push as hard as they're going to have to once we get to qualifying and then the Grand Prix. And even in the Grand Prix, the teams don't push as hard as they really can sometimes, because they're protecting, you know, the gearbox, the tyres, the power unit, other areas of the car. These cars don't get pushed to the limit that much in Formula One. They only really get pushed to the limit in qualifying sessions. That's it. Which is a bit of a shame, because back in the good old days between, say, 94 and 2009, the cars were pushed as hard as humanly possible because of refueling, and you had to push as hard as possible. You couldn't sit there and just manage your tyres like you have to today. But I'm afraid sandbagging or not going as quick as you really could is just the way Formula One is at the moment. You don't really get to see the cars at their absolute fastest, really, ever. So that's a shame, but, you know, that's how the teams do it. There's nothing we can really do to stop them. Right, let me find 2 more comments. That was a good one, by the way. Let me find 2 more comments and then I'll come to the end of the stream. Connor Chapman, what time do you think the Ferrari will put up qualifying wise this season at Barcelona? I think Ferrari will probably, if they are on pole position, or whoever's on pole position, they will break last year's pole position time, which was a 1:16.6 by Lewis Hamilton. That will be broken because the teams are already gaining the downforce back. And then once they understand the tyres properly, then they will be going faster than they were in 2018 for most of the season. The cars are not going to be slowed down that much. Ferrari came out and said at their car reveal that the cars at the start of the season are 1.5 seconds slower. So by the end of the second test, that'll go down to maybe a second or half a second. And then by the Spanish Grand Prix, the 2019 cars are faster. So it doesn't last very long. Let me look at the chat for some final comments. I'll look for a very good final comment to end on. Legio Rapax says or asks, do you agree with Wolf saying that they are half a second behind Ferrari or he's trolling us? I actually wouldn't be surprised if they're half a second behind Ferrari because the Ferrari car just looks better handling wise, and I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Ferrari had more power than Mercedes. So no, I don't think that is a I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. I think that is possibly true. So, yeah. Right, I will find one more comment. Jago Design says, by the way, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to find the best comments I can. I've obviously missed yours. Let me know your thoughts on this fact. Last year, Leclerc did a 118.9 on qualifying at Barcelona. Today, Kimi did a 117.7. You have to remember, though, Sauber developed a lot after the Spanish Grand Prix of 2018. If you took the Sauber that was at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2018 and put it on that track in May of 2018, Leclerc wouldn't have done a 118.9. He probably would have done a 118 flat or something like that. So you do have to remember that. The Sauber especially developed a lot during the season. Ben Farrell, Honda or Renault? Right now, I would say Honda at the moment. Red Sun Phoenix, Red Bull is having clutch problems. That wouldn't be the first time. Right, the final comment or question goes to Jay Crail. Do you think Mercedes will put up the fastest lap at the very end of the test session? I don't think they will. I don't think they will. I think on the final day of testing, which I'm hoping to attend, by the way, I'll let you guys know tomorrow if I'm actually 100% going to the second test. But when it comes to say the final first test or even the final second test, I think Ferrari will be looking to send a statement out saying, right, this is how good our car is, come and beat us if they do have the fastest car. So yeah, I don't think Mercedes will. I think it'll probably be Ferrari, but then you'll see a good, you'll see a very good Mercedes car once we get to Melbourne. But and Jay Crowell saying this is becoming more and more interesting. Thanks, Chaz. Yep, thank you. And as well, thanks to all of you for coming along for today's stream. And again, I will be around tomorrow at the same time for a review, of day 4 of the first test. And I cannot wait to get into that because I think we are going to see teams go a bit more aggressive when it comes to, say, qualifying simulations or qualifying lap times. So make sure to tune in tomorrow to see who is looking good and who isn't, because teams will be looking to see how good they are car-wise so they can try in the 4 days in between make some improvements or tweaks. So yeah, day 4 is going to be very interesting. But yeah, tomorrow 5 PM UK time, I'll be live reviewing day 4 of pre-season testing. So don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there, or click on my channel name, go to my channel page and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and also hit the notifications bell so you're notified as to when I upload or go live. Also, like this video, comment down below what you thought of this video, and comment down below who do you find so far after 3 days of testing, who has been the most impressive in your opinion. So for me, it's been the Ferrari powered cars. That's Ferrari, Alfa Romeo and Haas. Do you agree? Do you think McLaren or Red Bull or Renault? Who do you think has been the most impressive so far after 3 days of testing? Let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer as many as I can. Also, guys, don't forget to join my Discord server, link below in the description. That is the best place to get notifications for my videos. And also, during the days of testing, the server is actually quite active. So if you want to interact with people who also love Formula 1 and be a part of our great community, join the Discord server, link below, and yeah, join our great community. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110 and check out my website chazerhd.com for more content like this. But until tomorrow, for my live review of day 4 of 2019 F1 pre-season testing, it's been me, ChazerHD. Goodbye.